I thought this would be fun. We'll take a look at all the footage we have of old dungeons to use as a refresher for the Legion Mythic Plus time walking that's coming. I guess it's coming in December now. So let's take a look. We're going to start with quarter stars. This is a walk down memory lane because I remember the stream. I won't talk about it too much, but I remember this stream very well. But yeah, we're going to take a look at a quarter stars 20. Now, the dungeon quarter stars is very, very, very unique. If you've never done it before, it's kind of like Necrotic Wake in that there's a bunch of stuff you can do that dramatically improve your ability to do the dungeon well. So I found this article here on Wowhead from Legion, and we're going to read this too. We're going to start with this because this is probably as important as anything else that you're going to see in this, and this hopefully will give you a leg up when you finally get back in there. So, Core Stars is full of items that players can interact with based upon race, profession choice, class, or even role. Some of these items provide the party with potent buffs, while others have a functional effect in the dungeon. So yeah, just kind of think of it like the items in Necrotic Wake, or even maybe like the Covenant specific buffs you get in Dungeons and Shadowlands. It's very similar to that, I guess, in the way they work, but they're really, really powerful, like maybe even more powerful than those ones. So Arcane Power Conduit allows engineers, gnomes, or goblins, which I didn't even know that, gnomes and goblins too, can deactivate the Guardian construct in the dungeon, turning them neutral and stunning them permanently. And if I remember correctly, I don't remember how it interact with count, but I remember that being a big deal because those mobs are a huge pain. They're like very difficult to combine with other trash. So getting those out of the way, that's pretty interesting. I did not know that goblins and gnomes could do that. Flasks of Solemn Night allows rogues or alchemists to poison the flask that the first boss drinks during the fight, instantly killing him. From like, I think it's like 25% health, he's supposed to drink a potion and get a lot stronger. It'll instead kill him, which is huge. Bizarre goods. Rogues, warriors, or leather workers may interact with the item, sounding an alarm that distracts a mini boss before the second encounter. So that is going to allow you to summon a second one. I can't exactly remember what that means. I think you're supposed to kill mobs to summon these like mini bosses that you have to kill 3 of in order to fight the boss because the boss is being protected by them. If you don't do that, the boss will just be like unkillable. I think this automatically summons them, so you don't have to kill the trash that requires, like, typically spawns them. Life-size Nightborn statue. Miners or jewel crafters may destroy the statue. Yeah. So that's what it is. So these things, like, there's a couple different things that like spawn these ads. Basically, they come and run over. They're like, "What is that? What's going on over here?" And then you could fight them. Anyway, discarded junk. Now this is definitely the best one. Hunters or blacksmiths may create a trap that distracts a mini boss before the second encounter and will automatically kill the mini boss that steps on the trap. That is huge. That is actually like insane. Like you can't, I mean, I can't put that into terms like that you would understand if you've never done this dungeon. You have to kill these 3 mini bosses before you can fight the boss. And being able to do this, you can only do it once, I'd imagine. I don't think there's any way to do it more than once. But being a hunter or a blacksmith means that you can automatically kill one of the 3 mini bosses, just completely remove it from the dungeon. Anyway, wounded Nightborn civilian. All healer specs, tailors, and players with first aid, which now is just tailors, may dress the civilian's wounds, distracting a mini boss. Oh, that's interesting. See, I didn't realize there was so many. Now, those are just things that like interact with trash in the dungeon, but then there's also major buffs, okay? Fell Orb. Demon Hunters and Warlocks may destroy the orb to grant the party Fell Surge, increasing crit by 10%. In 7-2, Priests and Paladins will also be able to destroy the orb. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Infernal Tome. Priests and Paladins may destroy the book to bathe the party in comforting light. 10% reduction of incoming damage. Oh, wow. In 7-2, Demon Hunters will also be able to use the Infernal Tome. So they made like a lot easier to get these buffs. Magical Lanterns. Wow, this is interesting. Mages, enchanters, blood elves, and night elves may consume the lantern's power to grant the party arcane infusion, increasing all damage dealt by 10%. Oh my god. Wow, these are powerful, man. I forgot about so many of these. And then I wonder, like, would they make void elves, like, or Nightborn? I wonder how that works. Maybe, probably not, but you never know. Nightshade refreshments. This is a great one. Cooks Max level cooks or Pandaren of either faction may share the succulent cuisine, increasing all players' maximum health pool by 25%. And and herbalist too. That's why I was able to get that on my DK, I guess. Yeah, that one's really good. That was huge. That was very good. These two were very big for soloing. Starlight Rose Brew. For some reason, Death Knights and monks may consume the Starlight Rose Brew, granting the party improved health regen. So that is insanely good. It's actually like 3% health and 2% mana every 3 seconds. That's one of the best ones. Umbral Bloom, Herbalists and Druids may pick the flowers, granting the party Umbral Spores. This is a haste buff. And Waterlog Scroll. Shamans, Skinners, and Scribes may read the scroll to grant the party 30% movement speed. Okay, very interesting stuff. Here is a map of where they all occur. The distract ones are all over here. The buffs are just kind of scattered through. And then the arcane things, like the arcane thing is like actually in. So we'll point that out when we see it. But now these are not always there. A handful of these items are randomly chosen to appear each time a party enters the Court of Stars. This is the only one that's always there. So yeah, I remember keys being like down to straight RNG. Like you literally might, if you got the power conduit and the discarded junk, you would literally be like just like minutes ahead on the dungeon. So anyway, that's everything that I want to talk about in the beginning. So let's get started here. I want to see what this looks like. I have not done this dungeon in a very long time, so we will see what's going on. And just a heads up. I had this like hardcore, like classic trolling going on at this time. I was making videos on, it's funny looking back at this, but I was making videos on why like I thought classic was not anywhere near as difficult as people were making it out to be, and there was a lot of people who didn't like hearing that. So, okay, so the first thing you do in the dungeon is you click on that lantern, and it takes you all the way across here. Now, there was a variety of ways that you could cheese this. I don't remember any of them. So again, if you guys are watching this and you know more about this than me, please comment. Please, like I want you to, so other people can learn and I can learn. That's why I'm making these videos, is I'm trying to have a refresher here. And I don't remember half this. I probably remember a quarter of the stuff. But I know there's ways to cheese that where you just start over here. And actually, when I did test this dungeon on the PTR recently, it was like actually people were recommending that we do it. So the first weird thing about this dungeon, oh yeah, okay, great. This is actually interesting. So the first weird thing about this dungeon is you're going to come across this guard, which is just a single mob, and super inefficient count, right? So yeah, that's not a bad idea to just skip that thing. You can do that, I guess, with Demon Hunter still. I don't think that's changed. Not a bad idea at all. And count works the same way in Legion as it does now in Shadowlands. So I don't think there'll be anything confusing. This sentry is going to go try to activate this beacon that's over here. There's a lot of weird stuff in this dungeon. There's little worms, mana worms. If they die, when they die, they'll explode. So that's another thing. Don't stand on top of them. The construct, this is the mob I was talking about that you could deactivate. If it does that charging station, it's going to heal everyone near it. So that's why you can't combine them with other trash. Or, it's risky to do that. Charge smash, that's a frontal that you need to dodge, it looks like. Other people get hit by it too, maybe. And disrupting energy, that's just the thing on the ground. So you just got to move out of that. But, and suppress. And also it's going to like stun. It's going to be like a permanent stun until the kick is cast. Or the cast is kicked or ended. But yeah, again, a really inefficient count. But it doesn't matter. This dungeon's like looked at as like, I feel like it's actually very similar to Necrotic Wake. In the fact that you have like, it doesn't even matter. Like you could do whatever you want in this dungeon and you'll probably be upgrading it. As long as I actually don't know. I'm interested in seeing what this key offers. So now the charge smash is the thing. Just make sure you don't tank that on top of other players, or other players don't stand on you, because they will die. And then you see the sentry is actually being healed here. Which I don't really understand why, to be honest. I didn't see us not kick that spell, but so that sentry is always going to try to run to this nearest beacon, and these 5 beacons need to be disabled before you could fight the first boss, because if you don't, something really bad happens. I don't remember what, but take my word for it, it's probably a really bad thing. I think it summons a bunch of mobs or something like that with the boss. But yeah, so this is actually the Mana Worm pack, so dodge that all those mobs die. You see the Demon Hunter barely gets out of it. You will die if you get hit by that when all of them go down. I think they bolster. I think they do all those types of affixes. So the week we have currently is Raging Volcanic. This is obviously one of the easiest possible weeks. So we're not going to have any issues with anything in this dungeon, I'd imagine. But we don't know exactly what affixes we're going to be dealing. I guess we do, but it's going to change over time. So let's not worry about affixes too much. So yeah, you see that tower we clicked. You have to do that. If you don't, then you will not be able to do the boss. So somebody has to do that. And then in that house, the house that we're standing by to the right, that's where see it's over here. That house is where that orb is. You'll see it's like a giant orb. And if you're an engineer, a goblin, or a gnome, apparently you can turn off the constructs and lag, apparently. Okay, Quelling Strike is just a frontal. We're dodging that. The guard itself is actually very easy, but it's really a good thing, a really good dungeon for Death Knight because you could constantly slow, stun, and grip the dudes trying to run at the towers. If they get to the tower, I think they summon the ads themselves as well. So this trash is, relatively hard pack. You have a lot of different things to do. The bound energy also does like a cast. I believe it's just gonna hit players, but man, it is actually crazy how fast we're killing this pack. These packs, it's kind of nuts. Still looking back, 0 DPS healer. That's funny. But as you see, the damage, the thing about Legion dungeons that I remember at least was that like the mechanics were very, very, very painful. And it's not like now where there's like a lot of different things that you all have to interrupt and deal with. It's like there's basically just one mistake, and if you make it, you die. And it's going to happen a lot. So you actually see the shaman running around now. He is going to open the other 3 towers or close them or whatever you would click on them, basically. Somebody has to do that, and you can actually just run. It's you don't have to clear trash to do this. You just run in between them and click them. So I think ideally you'd probably have at least 2 or 3 different people doing this, but you see the boss is actually patrolling near that one. But I think we get it. I think we did get it. So you have to be a little bit aware of that. Okay, so this boss I think I remember pretty well. He's gonna do like a double frontal, so that's like a frontal and a backle. It's actually, yeah, the frontal and a backle. And then there's this little arcane orb that he shoots out, so you're gonna have to dodge both of those. Then there's this arcane lockdown ability, and what you're meant to do is you're meant to jump to remove it. It's a magic debuff. You can dispel it, or you can jump, or I could actually AMS it prior to it going on me, and it won't apply it to me at all. So that's a really good thing that I remember. And here's, oh, okay. So wait, we didn't actually close one of the towers. Is that right? Because I think that's the mob that would spawn. I don't remember, to be honest, but I think that's right. We didn't close one of the towers, so we actually have the mob, which he's gonna cast Hinder, which looks like it. Yeah, this is actually an error, I guess. And that's gonna make the mechanics harder to do, I suppose. I don't know. I don't remember at all. But I think at 25%, he's going to die. Although this is like a super easy encounter. Like if you look at some of the Legion bosses, there's like ones that are just an absurdly easy fight and then an absurdly hard fight, which I'm kind of surprised by, to be honest. But yeah, people getting hit there. So there is a lot to dodge. So I guess, if you're playing an immobile ranged. So at the time, Affliction Warlock and Balance Druid were like top tier by a mile. So you're probably going to see a lot of that in these keys. Demon Hunter this is actually probably like the most meta comp you can get. These guys are dying to stuff that it's just like, wow. Looking back on some of these mechanics, like I've noticed that. It's like, man, that's kind of hard to believe that these were ever hard. But yeah, see 25%, he's going to go drink that potion. He's supposed to get stronger. Instead, he gets dead. So that's not a bad thing for us. And then, yeah, that guy releases or something. Okay, so here's another one of these constructs. So it'd be good if you can just skip this, I think, right? Oh, actually, no, I think you can still kill them. Oh, that's right. I think that's how it works. You can still kill them and they just don't do anything. I think that's right. So you can still get count from them, but you don't actually have to deal with any of the mechanics. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. And I think they also like have lower health or something too. I just can't remember. But yeah, but you see how inefficient this is. Like just fighting a single mob. I mean, think about that in Shadowlands, right? Like people constantly freak out when you try to do stuff like that. So, but the good thing about when you're fighting these alone, they don't really do anything. It's just all those buffs kind of like impact the rest of what's going on in the dungeon. So if you're trying to combine them with stuff, it makes it pretty much impossible. Okay, so now we're gonna have to go up this really long hallway. There's like a good minute, maybe 2 or 3 minutes of running here. You can actually get lost in this area and go right coming up here. I think it's right here. Or maybe it was the previous area. But there's an area that you can actually go upwards instead of downwards. And that would be taking you to a world quest area, I believe, or something for an achievement or something like that. So don't do that. Okay, so these packs are relatively famous. Let's see how they're handled. And these guys all cast, they're just like casters on not me. Like they're gonna this whole pack is gonna do a lot of damage to everyone but me. That ice storm is something we want to try to stop if I remember correctly. I think that's just again even more damage. Searing glare as well. All I remember is that these things do a lot of damage to everyone but me as the tank. And I don't know if that's because I was just very resistant to that damage or if it was because it didn't actually deal damage to me, but yeah, something to keep in mind. Bewitch. Okay, does that mind control somebody? I think it makes them do less damage or something like that, if I remember correctly. But anyway, you come out, you're always going left here anyway. There's a bridge to our right that allows you to go to the other side, and there's a patrol on it, which is a very, very large patrol, which I think everybody tries to skip. And you're going to see some fanciness here. I don't know, like it's going to be maybe I don't see why it wouldn't be possible still, but so every time we fight these blazing imps, we're like in some danger, like potential danger, and it's super easy because everybody was balanced druid, so there was always AOE interrupts. But here, okay, so you'll see on the mini map on the top right, there's a yellow, like a kind of like a bold yellow mark on the map. That's the mini boss. That's like the mini boss's mini boss, I guess. You have to kill that NPC to summon the mini boss that is protecting the main boss. And that's one of the things you can circumvent doing by clicking on the bizarre goods or what, these other things we talked about. Now this is actually another dangerous pack, it looks like, but these Inquisitors are probably the hardest mob in the area. So just be very vigilant on interrupts, I think. You see we actually have the Hunter thing, but I wonder if we have anybody who can do it. Okay, so this Fellbound Enforcers is like, again, a very important mob. This is the mob you have to kill to then start the boss RP stuff. Fell Detonation does a ton of damage, and you need to line of sight it. This is a very common strategy in Legion, but something that can still be done in Shadowlands, and nobody really ever does it anymore. But yeah, it's something they could line of sight. You see, I don't even care because I'm just so tanky, but it's going to do a lot of damage to me. I probably should care. Wow, I'm taking a lot of damage from that. But yeah, it's a crazy amount of fire damage, I guess. Those numbers just look so absurd. 2 million fire damage. Wow. Surprising. But then as soon as you kill it, the I'm a cut ya, one of the mini bosses for the boss's protection are going to come. So. Oh man, it's so nice to see 3 Blood Plagues. God, you used to be able to have 2 Dancing Rune weapons out with a part of the Legion artifact for Blood DK. Anyway, this one's easy. This does like a, I don't even, it doesn't look like it does anything. I thought, yeah, Whirling Blades is kind of like a whirlwind. You see like a little, it's basically whirlwind, the spell whirlwind. So you can move out of it. I don't know how dangerous that's going to be. But now you'll see as soon as we killed the previous one, there's another yellow mark on the screen up there on the mini map. So we need to go to the other side of the room. But Blizzard placed these like patrols and stuff in our way. Like they're trying to get you to kill them, obviously. But we're just going to skip them. And this is always a possibility here. You can come up here and jump down. I don't think anything would have changed there. But yeah, what am I doing? But yeah, you can come down around the back here. Oh yeah, I see. I'm trying to get this pack. Yeah, that's right, because that patrol is coming and I end up messing it. This is a major, major, major issue. So I think we're gonna wipe here, yeah. But yeah, these oh yeah, this is a major, major issue. You'll see just how much damage all this stuff can do. Or maybe just how powerful our classes are, because everybody's still alive. Oh man. Actually gonna kill this? That's just ridiculous. I will also say that the trash in BFA, or well, BFA and onwards, is way harder than any trash in Legion. So I don't know. I guess we're gonna have a fortified week, but tyrannical is definitely what you fear in Legion for sure. The trash is very, very easy. Oh yeah, we're gonna just. Why am I not light deciding? I don't really know what I was doing there. That was a huge mistake, one way or the other. So there's a lot of patrols. So if you are trying to skip, you can easily find yourself in some trouble. But yeah, somebody actually aggroed that Fellbound Enforcer. You see it standing over there. But again, you're looking on the minimap for this stuff. There's one of the tomes there. I just didn't really see too many other things. We saw the trap on the other side. I think the Bazaar Goods is right behind my character right now. But you're always going to want to fight these things on the edge of a structure of some sort, so people could line of sight. And yeah, I guess that's probably all you need to know. But you need to line of sight this. It does an insane amount of damage, even on tyrannical weeks. Like, it's going to actually be probably an insurmountable amount of healing. But you see another complication here. A patrol walks into us. So there's a lot of patrols in this dungeon, and it's actually a real pain, honestly. So looks like we're gonna have another wipe. I don't know. I know how like notorious I was able to solo stuff, but it's not going very well. But yeah, so there's a lot of patrols. The thing is, like, counting here is kind of a little awkward. I don't remember exactly what might happen, but I think you're going to be overcount one way or the other. Like, it's going to be one of those things that, like, to avoid all the patrols, you basically need to be lucky. Like, there's no way to do it. So I don't think count will ever come into play here. And again, this is a very, very lenient timer. There's only 3 bosses. Pretty notorious. Any dungeon that only ever has 3 bosses is usually pretty notorious for being quick. Especially on a tyrannical week, right? It makes it a lot easier. So that's another reason why Court was looked at as a very easy dungeon. But anyway, we're still working on killing this mob. We have to come back up here and do it. There's also going to be the new seasonal affix in here, but of course I don't have. I think it's just in front of bosses, right? Like, I don't know much about that, but I assume that's probably going to just be just there in front of bosses. So, fell detonation. So people are running in the house. People use the line of sight on that little pillar on the corner there. It's like, whatever you got to do, just make sure you're doing it. It's a lot of damage, and you really you're going to be in a lot of trouble if you get hit by that, especially more than once. Like, I think you literally won't actually you actually won't survive it. I would be surprised. We'll see how it works out. Okay, so there's the second one. And you see we already have count, so we're going to be way over count. And this seems fine. Like, I don't, there's no indication that this is an issue. So, okay, this guy does another line of sightable mechanic. It's actually a pretty bad one. He's going to do a channel on a person, and that person does a lot less damage. It's going to be on the druid. It actually looks like he takes a lot of damage too, because he's in bear form currently. This was an incredibly popular strategy back in Legion, where druids would just go into bear form for all the dangerous mechanics. And I don't know why this stopped being a thing, but it's a very powerful. Like, druid have like the best defensive kit in the game if you do that option, right? So we if you get that mechanic, you could line of sight it around the corner here, but you have to be very quick. So I remember doing this when I was soloing, because it would always only ever go on me, and it would be like I would literally be unable to kill the mob because it would disable me so severely. So I had to line of sight every single one, and it was actually a huge issue there. So, but that's it. Oh, and then we're going to use the Bazaar Goods that were there. That's what that guy was talking to. And that's going to spawn the second or the third one, and that's going to be it, right? Or is it coming? He's clicking it. He's just like waiting to click it, I guess, or something. But yeah, here it comes. Okay, so this one actually has mechanics. It does a frontal, and it's a very quick frontal, so you really need to be ready to move kind of through parallel. You'll see I don't even try. I get stunned, and the Demon Hunter gets stunned too. He's behind the mob, so he does this a lot. It's actually a huge pain. But yeah, just move out of that, and then try not to move the mob too much, I'd imagine, but yeah, I don't know. And that's it. Once you kill all, so again, if you didn't pull all these, I don't necessarily know if they would aggro with the boss, but it doesn't really matter because they buff the boss like substantially. So you would not be able to fight the boss with them. And you actually see there's the patrols returning, because those are the mobs that are, they keep coming, those enforcers or whatever. Like, they'll be up there even after you've killed all 3 of these. So yeah, I see we never actually used the trap because we don't have a hunter or a blacksmith, which is unfortunate because that's a huge deal. Okay, so this boss is actually very, I would say this is probably one of the most mechanically heavy bosses in the game that I remember from Legion. And I don't really remember what all the mechanics do, but I know the big one here, Withering Soul, we need to kick that every single time. And then Infernal Eruption, it's going to summon these imps. So it's going to put a fire patch under where people are standing. So you all want to stack up. So they all spawn on top of each other like this. And then they quickly get nuked down. And again, if you could silence them, you know, Balanced Druid really carried back in the day. So there's going to be a lot. In Legion, there was so many AoE silence capabilities, like so many needs for it. It was actually kind of nuts. But yeah, just keep everybody together. I did this on the PTR and people had no idea about that. So that was a huge issue. And then keep dispelling that or keep interrupting that. But if it doesn't get kicked, you can also be dispelled. So you'll see I have a magic debuff on me, and I think it makes you like have less health or does something bad for you. So I don't know. It's very strange. Okay, so this is gonna happen a lot, and the mobs are grippable and stunnable and stuff like that. But if you fall behind on one pack, it gets really bad because then like the second pack is spawning like as the first pack is still up. I remember that happening a lot. And that Drifting Embers cast is just gonna do a bunch of AoE damage to everyone, so that's probably gonna be an issue. But yeah, it looks like we're on our way. It's cool though, like, you know, doing a 20 in Legion. Like I feel like a 20 in Legion is about where a 20 in Shadowlands feels for right now. It shouldn't be too hard. I mean, I don't know about the Legion 20 now that we're gonna have, but in terms of comparing the two dungeons, it's about that same difficulty. So you see we fail to get those kicks and people just straight up die. Now, this is one of the most interesting parts of any dungeon for sure. And there's all kinds of add-ons that used to help with this, but you basically have to do this like you go into this party and you have to collect these rumors and they're going to tell you what mob out of all of these interactable NPCs is a traitor, basically. And you talk to the traitor, you reveal the traitor, and then you kill the traitor, and that's how you finally fight the final boss. And I don't know if this gives count or not. Maybe it doesn't, and maybe I'm wrong about being overcount, but it takes a long time. And if you have no idea what you're doing, you'll be in here for a while. So I don't really know what the best option is because I don't remember what the add-ons were, but I'm pretty sure you see DBM has an info frame for it. I think Big Wigs did too. I think there was other add-ons. I know Paladins, if they had the legendary on, the legendary or the artifact, sorry, the artifact would shine whenever you were near a demon, which like for the most part it didn't make a difference. But there's a couple times there's like a time in Dalaran where there was like an NPC disguised as a demon or other way around. I don't know if that's still gonna work, but it used to be to the point where I remember people would get like, so basically you would split up, 5 people go to 5 different mobs, click them, and then one person, like you just immediately know what you're doing based on that. So you see female, gloves, pouch, cape. So we actually only got 4 there. Is there 5 or is there maybe? I just remember at times people would get them with 3. Like you would only need 3 and people would have everything they needed there. So I don't remember. I don't know actually. I don't know how that's going to end up working out, but I assume it's going to be very complicated. People are going to not remember it very well. Now, this Shadow Bolt Volley does a lot of damage, and this is, again, not fortified, so this is actually kind of funny. This Carrion Swarm's a frontal, so you want to face that away or just move out of it if you're DPS. Cripple is just probably just a single target disable. But I think this is actually going to happen here. Let's see. Yeah, oh yeah, look at this. Watch this. Raging Shadow Bolt Volley. Thank you for stopping by. It actually, some people don't get hit by. I wonder if they line of sight or use an immunity, but that's really funny. That's really funny. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that happened in Legion all the time. It's just like you can't actually survive that. You have to make it so it doesn't kill you. That's the only way like you can survive that. And then that's it. Then people rush to the middle here because you have to click this door, and it's like a 30-second cast. It's like a really long time to open this door. But then that's it. Final boss coming up. And I think this is probably the easiest boss. This is one of the easiest bosses in the game. I always feel that way because, you know, soloing keys made me think it was easy, you know. And this dungeon had some really soloable bosses, but this final one was the easiest of all of them. So whenever I feel like I can solo a boss, then I feel like it's an easy boss. Warlock's running back. He's almost back. So this boss actually has like, I'll show you the mechanics. It's actually very easy mechanically too. But they just don't really do anything is the main thing. So we'll see if that's the case. So Blade Surge is going to charge over there. And then he's going to leave a clone of himself there, okay? And then that Piercing Gale is going to do... it just looks like it shoots out damage. He's also going to summon these tornadoes, which you can soak as a tank, I think. They don't really do that much. But yeah, here's that Slicing Maelstrom. So you see how the white animation is around him. If you're close to that, you take the damage from it, and maybe extra damage. Maybe you take damage regardless. But the thing is, those copies he's creating, they're doing all his other mechanics. So you see those lines he's shooting out, and then the swirling mechanic, whatever that was, the AoE thing, Slicing Maelstrom. That's going to do damage where the clones are. So don't stand near them. You know, people stand near them probably, and they're going to take a lot of damage. This is actually going to happen a lot in keys, I'd imagine, coming up here. People just don't. I completely forgot about that until recently. I forgot that that was actually a thing. Like, those copies of him, they do the damage. Like, they're the things you need to avoid. But that's pretty much it. I don't fully remember. I think the tornado stuns you. If you get hit by the tornado, I think you get stunned. I think that's what it is. So, yeah, that's... I think as DK, I could AMS and all that stuff and stop it. I could just run through them. I think I would do that. I think I'd AMS or Icebound and just run through them and break them all for people. Because eventually yeah, here we go. So AMS, I ran through 2 of them. Okay. So yeah, that's a good idea, obviously. But it's a very easy fight. I mean, look, I'm literally at 100%. Now, Blood DK is obviously very powerful in Legion, but I have to say, I think it's just as powerful now as it was in Legion. The thing in Legion, it was also an incredibly good damage dealer. As you see, I'm actually doing almost as much damage as damage dealers, and that's definitely not the case anymore. So, but in terms of defense, I think they're actually just as strong. But yeah, I think also, yeah, the Slicing Maelstrom, like the more copies of him, the harder it gets. The more damage you take regardless of being close or not. But that's pretty much it. I mean, the fight, obviously, the good thing about this dungeon is you're going to get lust for all 3 bosses like very easily. I don't know what you would have to lust somewhere weird. There's not like really any... The other thing about Legion dungeons is there's no like crazy trash packs like there is in BFA, where it's like, you know, let's combine like 6 very dangerous packs and lust or something like that. That just doesn't really happen in Legion. At least not in this dungeon, that's for sure. This is like, feels like a very it almost kind of feels like a unique dungeon in a way that's like not... it should not have been included in Mythic Plus, I would say. But there you go, 20 upgrades. So I'd really like to hear your guys' thoughts. This dungeon has a very unique ring. It makes your auto attacks do like, I think it's like 10, maybe 15% more auto attack damage, which is huge. I mean, that is actually going to be best in slot, right? I don't know if it's going to work out, because that's pretty nuts. That's going to be best in slot. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. I think this one is a very interesting dungeon, and it's probably one of my favorite dungeons ever, but it's very easy, and I think that's probably a big part of why it was very soloable, because of all those items and all the stuff I can do as Blood DK. So thanks for watching. Let me know again, please leave some comments on tips and tricks that you guys remember or know about as well, and hopefully we'll have some success here when this time walking comes around.